Have you ever heard of a place on Earth where ships and planes just vanish? Without a trace, without a warning, as if swallowed by the sea and sky? Welcome to one of the world's most enduring mysteries, the Bermuda Triangle. This infamous stretch of ocean, roughly connecting Bermuda, Miami, and Puerto Rico, has captured our imaginations for decades. It's a place shrouded in legend, where the laws of physics seem to bend and break. We're talking about hundreds of disappearances, thousands of lives lost, and a puzzle that has baffled scientists, sailors, and aviators for generations. So what's really going on in the Devil's Triangle? Is it a portal to another dimension? Are extraterrestrials involved? Or is there a more down-to-earth explanation for these strange events? Today, we're going to dive deep into the heart of this mystery, separating fact from fiction, and exploring the science behind the supernatural. Let's start with the story that ignited the legend. Flight 19. On December 5, 1945, 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers took off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for a routine training mission. They were seasoned pilots, flying in broad daylight, over calm seas. Just a few hours into the flight, something went terribly wrong. The lead pilot, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, radioed in, sounding disoriented. His compasses were malfunctioning. He thought they were over the Florida Keys, but a rescue plane's radio fix placed them far out over the Atlantic, east of the Florida coast. Their last transmission was a garbled mess. Everything is wrong. Strange. We can't be sure of any direction. Even the ocean doesn't look as it should. Then silence. The 5 planes and the 14 men aboard were never seen again. But the tragedy didn't end there. A Martin Mariner flying boat with a crew of 13 was dispatched to search for Flight 19. It too vanished. One moment it was on radar, the next, it was gone. A ship in the area reported seeing a massive explosion in the sky around the time the Mariner disappeared, suggesting a possible in-flight fire, but no wreckage was ever definitively recovered. In a single afternoon, 6 aircraft and 27 men were lost without a trace. This incident became the cornerstone of the Bermuda Triangle legend, a chilling example of its supposed power. Another classic case is the USS Cyclops, a massive U.S. Navy collier ship that disappeared in March 1918, carrying over 10,000 tons of manganese ore and 306 crew and passengers. It was last heard from near Barbados. The ship was on its way to Baltimore, but it never arrived. There was no SOS call, no debris, nothing. The weather was calm. It was one of the largest non-combat losses of life in U.S. naval history, and to this day, her final resting place remains a total mystery. She just sailed into the horizon and out of existence. Then there's the story of the Carol A. Deering, a 5-masted schooner found hard aground and completely abandoned off the coast of North Carolina in 1921. Ship was in eerie condition. The lifeboats were gone, but food was still on the stove, as if the crew had vanished in the middle of preparing a meal. The ship's log and navigation equipment were missing, but a ship's cat was found, purring contentedly. What could have caused an entire crew to abandon a perfectly good ship in such a hurry? The mystery remains unsolved. These are just a few of the most famous stories, but the list goes on and on. From luxury yachts to commercial airliners, the Triangle's list of alleged victims is long and varied. So, what are the theories? This is where things get really interesting. One of the most popular explanations involves aliens. The idea is that the Bermuda Triangle is some kind of intergalactic collection point, where extraterrestrials abduct humans, ships, and planes for study. Proponents point to the lack of wreckage in many cases, suggesting the vessels were taken whole. Some even claim to have seen strange lights or UFOs in the area just before a disappearance. While it makes for a great sci-fi movie, there's absolutely no physical evidence to support this theory. Another intriguing idea is that the triangle is a gateway to another dimension or a time warp. This theory suggests that powerful, naturally occurring electromagnetic anomalies in the area could literally rip a hole in the fabric of spacetime, pulling vessels into the past, future, or a parallel universe. This might explain why compasses go haywire and why objects disappear so completely. Again, it's a fascinating concept, but it's firmly in the realm of speculation, not science. Then there's the lost city of Atlantis. Some believe that the mythical city lies at the bottom of the ocean within the triangle. The theory goes that powerful energy crystals that once powered Atlantis are still active, periodically malfunctioning and emitting powerful energy beams that disrupt equipment and disintegrate ships and planes. This idea was popularized by the psychic Edgar Cayce, but like the alien theory, there's no concrete proof. So let's step away from the supernatural and look at what science has to say. And the truth might be less spooky, but just as fascinating. First, let's talk about the weather. The Bermuda Triangle is notorious for its violent and unpredictable weather. It's where cold air from the north collides with warm tropical air, creating the perfect conditions for sudden, intense storms. It's also in the heart of Hurricane Alley. A storm can pop up with little warning, and a 100-foot rogue wave is not out of the question. A rogue wave is a single, massive wave that can appear out of nowhere, even in calm seas, and could easily swamp a large ship in seconds. Second, there's the geology of the area. The ocean floor in the Bermuda Triangle is not your average seabed. It contains some of the deepest marine trenches in the world, including the Puerto Rico Trench, which is over 27,000 feet deep. If a ship or plane were to sink there, finding the wreckage would be like finding a needle in a haystack, but a haystack that's 5 miles deep. This could easily explain why so much wreckage is never recovered. A really compelling scientific theory involves methane gas hydrates. The seafloor in this region is known to have vast deposits of frozen methane. If there's a shift in temperature or pressure, these hydrates can suddenly destabilize and erupt, releasing a massive bubble of methane gas to the surface. This would drastically reduce the density of the water. Any ship caught in this bubble would lose its buoyancy instantly and sink like a stone with no time for an SOS call. If the gas reached the atmosphere, it could also ignite from a spark from a plane's engine, causing an explosion and explaining the disappearance of aircraft. And what about the malfunctioning compasses? This phenomenon might be explained by something called electronic fog. This is a reported meteorological event where a strange, thick, gray cloud appears out of nowhere and engulfs a ship or plane. Inside this fog, electronic instruments go crazy, compasses spin wildly, and engines can stall. Pilot Bruce Gernon famously claimed to have flown through such a fog, traveling 100 miles in just a few minutes, suggesting a time warp. While mainstream science doesn't recognize electronic fog, some researchers believe it could be a rare type of electromagnetic phenomenon that we just don't understand yet. It's also important to remember that the Bermuda Triangle is one of the few places on Earth where true north and magnetic north align, which can sometimes confuse navigators who aren't prepared for it. So after all this, is the Bermuda Triangle really a supernatural vortex of doom? The truth is, probably not. Many researchers, including the US Coast Guard and marine insurance companies like Lloyd's of London, state that the number of disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle is not statistically significant compared to any other heavily trafficked area of the ocean. Many of the famous mysterious cases have been debunked or explained over the years. For example, some ships reported missing were later found to have sunk in different parts of the world, or their disappearances were exaggerated by storytellers. The story of the Carol A. Deering? Evidence later pointed towards a possible mutiny or even piracy. The legend of the Bermuda Triangle is a powerful one, fueled by our love for a good mystery. It's a perfect storm of strange events, unconfirmed reports, and a human tendency to find patterns where none exist. While rogue waves, methane gas, and extreme weather are very real dangers, the idea of a paranormal devil's triangle is likely more fiction than fact. But isn't it more fun to believe just a little that there's still a corner of our world that defies explanation? That there are still mysteries out there waiting to be solved? What do you think? Is the Bermuda Triangle a place of supernatural danger, or just a case of bad weather and bad luck amplified by compelling stories? Let me know your theories down in the comments. I'd love to read what you think is really going on in this enigmatic part of our planet. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the unknown. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the world's greatest mysteries. See you next time.